Hi, good afternoon. We're here with Ilyas Salim from Salim. How are you doing, Ilyas?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time out to have a chat. So if we could start things off quite simply, let us know a little bit about who you are, what it is that you do, and how long you've been doing it for, please.
Yeah, so my name is Ilyas. I'm from Leeds, and I've got a few businesses, but the main business is Salim, named after our own name, and we specialize in Arabian fragrances. So we're one of the first, we were one of the first people to bring in Arabian oud and Arabian fragrances into Yorkshire and into the West around about 15 years ago. So I've studied in 2 universities. I've got a master's degree. So I did work for the NHS for 7-8 years. And whilst I was doing the scentsy, so I did I did 1-2 sales jobs as well, and also NHS job because of my degree. And then I think about 4 or 5 years ago, I made this and business. And generally, I also write books. This is like my full-time sort of job now. But I've got the flexibility because, when you're an owner of a business, you have that flexibility and you have to adapt according to time. Because I think, we will get into detail of these questions, but in the last 3-4 years, businesses have had a change which we've never experienced before due to like the recession and COVID and everything. So because we are like a specialty store and we don't sell necessities, it's more just perfume related products. So we have had our ups and downs, but we've sort of, adapted to the changes.
Sure. I was going to ask you about the ups and downs there. So your journey, if you could describe that from, is it 15 years you've been doing Salim?
Trading from 2010.
Okay.
Yeah. So the business started, I've been collecting perfume. I use a lot of oud perfume. So I've got a few samples here. So, like this, like the proper oud oils and musk and rose. So I've been collecting from, nearly 20 years since I was young. I was collecting since my, boarding school days, since like 14, 15 years old. And I turned it into a business in 2010. And I saw a gap in the market, but it wasn't, I didn't have no investment. I didn't have any help. So that's why I continued my other jobs. So I worked for Just Eat for a little while. I also did NHS work for about 8 years, roughly 8 years. And then Salim, gradually grew. So we had our office for about, I think, 3.5 years. And then we turned it into our first branch in 2013. So first I was just trading from an office for 3 years. And it was still very, very, very niche. So one challenging thing we've faced is educating the people about what we sell. So it's not your typical perfume shop or Debenham store or Harvey Nichols, but it's more of a specialty store. And because of this, we've had some challenges in terms of educating people. Are people confident in buying? But because of the one instrumental factor in our business, which has helped us, is the big, Arabian airlines. So like Etihad, Emirates, Qatar Airlines, and the World Cup. So in the last, I would say 10 years, especially the last 5-6 years, so when people travel to Thailand or wherever they travel, most of the time they're using Emirates Airlines, and they're stopping over, they're smelling the oud, they're getting familiar with oud, due to the advertisements on the plane. Yeah. So that's helped out a lot. So people are asking that question, what is oud? So oud obviously comes from a tree, hot countries like in Thailand, Cambodia, India, Vietnam. It's either burnt to use in the house or the homes or the cars, or it's either used as an oil or a spray.
Cool.
So so oud, amber, rose. Arabian people are quite used to strong scents. So you probably if you smell them, you will see that they smell quite strong. And so in terms of challenges, I think the main challenge has been just educating people and making them confident to buy from us. And in the last couple of years, we've seen since COVID, the business, there's a lot of competition now we've seen. When we started off, we didn't have a lot. but now we've seen there's much more competition. So due to things moving online as well, you know, due to things moving online since COVID, we've had a website for a long time, but Google Ads, protecting our own brand has been a challenge as well, because people have been using our name for keywords in Google. So where we, like say 6-7 years ago, we're not spending any money on marketing on Google and stuff like that. Now, just to save some customers, we have to spend money now. So that's been quite a big challenge as well, because there's new people starting every day because they've seen the market. Yeah. So the last 2-3 years, we've seen a big growth in terms of others starting, but we also wholesale as well. So we have got a little bit of that market as well. So,
how did you go from working full-time jobs, and then you said you had your office, but then you've got a number of stores across the county. How did that kind of pan out? Was it investment?
So that happened. I think that there was a couple of years quite important. So 2010 to 2013, 14 was just mainly an office. Even when I opened my first store, no one was really familiar with this stuff in the area where we opened the store, Leeds, Bradford area. We're just doing what we do. There's other shops which do other gifts, and but we wanted to just specialize in the Arabian fragrances. So the first 2-3 years were a challenge, but because I had my own jobs, I wasn't really concerned about the money or the profit. I was just there just to grow the brand, grow the name, and I was sort of just looking at one direction, just going one way. In 2017, we opened our second store. So it's not very old, 6-7 years ago in Bradford.
Yeah. And
then the year after, we opened another 2 stores. And then we opened the Leeds City Centre store as well. So people were quite amazed to see our brand in the city centre, with the likes of Rolex and the big brand JD Sports.
Yeah.
So that happened. So that happened between 2000 and I would say 16, 17 till 2020, sort of. But then COVID happened. So that was a big challenge because we had 6 stores. But because the government in the country is quite good with, like furlough, they were sort of paying rent for the shops as well. So it was quite a relaxing period in one way, where the rent's getting paid, the staff are getting paid. So we don't really need to do anything. So we had time to think about, where to take the business. Now, because COVID lasted about 2 years, on and off. So the shops, shops were closed. I think February 2020, that was the longest, like 7-8 month period where they were closed completely. Then they became open again near Christmas time for 2-3 months. Then again in February, they closed again. There were, I think, 2-3 times where they closed and open, closed and open. So I think one thing that I'm very passionate about what I sell. So I think anyone starting a business, I would say they've probably heard it before, but being passionate about what you sell and what you promote is very, very important, because there will be downs in businesses. There will be like cash flow problems. There might be all sorts of problems. So COVID wasn't too much of a challenge, but then I realized something really hit me. This was that during COVID, I didn't know that people were sort of addicted to our fragrances.
Yeah.
So, like Argos, I saw that Argos were doing click and collect.
Yeah.
So I started doing click and collect from some of our stores. And also, the online side we sort of improved straight away. Yeah. We had a website from a long time, but it wasn't, the best of websites. So we changed the whole website and we changed the marketing strategy. And during COVID, we were extremely busy as well. Yeah. So that was one of our, some of the staff were still employed in the Leeds main store. And we were like, I think at one period where we did a big sale, we were like 11, 12 days behind on orders. So the orders were coming through so fast.
So taking all that experience, so taking all that experience then that you've had in growth and getting the stores out and up and running, and that journey that you've been on, what would you say is the biggest lesson you mentioned about there, if anyone was starting a business to know about the products, the passion, have the passion for what they do to sustain it? Is that kind of tied into a lesson that you could share?
I think the lesson is, I think another thing is stay up to date with the trends. That's very important, because there's no point you doing something and the trend is going somewhere else. So, we also regularly, I would say always, go to trade shows in your, your field. So if you're, selling something, if you're training, go to, these events. And I would say never give up. That's another thing. Big lesson, people give up very quickly. And they want to move from one business to another business, before they've actually even started something properly.
Yeah.
So, with my business, I think there were 2 or 3 times in the last 14 years where I was going to sort of think, let's pack it in, because you'll probably be shocked. My market is very, very, very small. It's like 2 or 3% of the market. If you were to ask me even now today, in most areas in the UK, what is oud Arabian fragrance, most people still won't know. So,
focus there on.
Yeah. So, I'm going to another trade show next week in Oman. So I go to trade shows quite regularly. And I think another big element was, like, this year we were the silver partners with Leeds United. So when people saw Ilyas Salim on the billboards at our Premiership ground every game. So we've done things in the past, like in terms of marketing, documentaries, which not many people have done. So it makes us, proud and happy. And I think sometimes that's your motivation, looking at previous success stories of what you've achieved. Definitely. And then if you think, we were, like, I could go back to that in 5 years' time, that, we were paying so much money to Leeds United, because they've got the likes of JD Sports, they've got the likes of BT Sports, big companies, who are partners with them. So we were, officially partners with them. We were invited to their games. We've also done a lot of, we've had clients come see us from all over the world because of what we do. Some of the products I've gotten, they're not sold anywhere. So it is small, but we sort of dominate a certain amount as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense in terms of operating in that niche and specializing in that. Good stuff. Thank you for that. So in terms of inspiration for what you do, you possibly touched on some of the things that could be used, but what inspires you to do what you do?
I think inspiration is looking at your previous success and, keep going. And what inspires me, I would say, I think being the best at what you do. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be the best, you need to, keep on top of the trends, keep on top of your business, keeping everyone happy, keeping your customers happy. And when you have multiple stores, you will sometimes get a problem, where a customer didn't like something or service-wise. So what I personally do as the owner is take things quite seriously as well. So I think inspiration-wise as well, if you're a business owner, you can't take things lightly in terms of feedback, in terms of customer service. So in terms of every single product, so we have a very low percentage of returns. Like I would say it's like 0.02%, very, very less. And the reason why we do that is we try to resolve the issue beforehand. And we make sure, I always test any new products I launch, I test it for a year in my own house and my own family. And, like people I know, then I launch it. Because every year we are launching, like recently the trend came with the glass diffusers for the cars. Then you had the humidifiers. So there's so many products within perfumery, the reed diffusers. So, inspiration is always, be the best, be recognized for what you achieve.
Like it. Thank you very much. So lastly, in terms of being able to find out a bit more about what you do, going and buying some of the scent, where can we go to do that? Or feel free to share any more latest news with what you're up to.
Yeah, so at the moment, what does this year hold for us, 2023? I'm just looking at your questions as well. Yeah, this year, latest news from our side is, I think because there's a recession, so we all know people are, with Morrison shopping, Tesco shopping, everything's like doubled. Petrol prices are high. So because we just sell perfume related products, so this is like a luxury. Mm-hmm. So I always tell people come down and experience the, sensation of Arabian scents. So it's not just good for your, smelling good, but it's also well-being. So there's a health element to it. So people can, firstly, I always say before you actually come to my shop or you go to the website, go to our social media pages like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, learn about the product. So a lot of the time when new customers come to my shop and I'm there myself, I always tell them, and they spend, say, more than an average customer, I also always say to them, definitely visit my YouTube channel, learn about what we sell, because I'd rather have people appreciate the product rather than just, come in once and that's it.
Yeah.
So I want people to educate themselves on what we sell. And, we always have offers on the website. We have sample sets for people to just try and test before they actually buy bigger sizes. But, in our shop, even if someone wants to just come and have a look, especially the lead store where me and my brother are mainly based, we're more than welcome just to show them what we do. Sometimes people do come for the first time. So we've seen you on, on TV or we've seen you on newspapers. Yeah. What do you sell?
Brilliant. And what's the website address? Is it
It's www.scentsy.com, yeah.
Fantastic. Ilyas, been real pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for sharing.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I look forward to checking out your website and getting to know a little bit more about Ilyas Salim.
Thank you.